So today we're going to be talking about a certain topic that has happened on this very date. The reason why I uploaded this certain video is because I want to not only remember those who have unfortunately fallen on this day, but also bring in a very, very disturbing fact that has also happened on this day. For those of you who do not know, I am referring to the 9/11 attacks. Now, however, when it comes to talking about terrorism, it's best to keep it in an educational standpoint. I am only referencing this certain tragedy that happened in America for a very good reason, but also a disturbing one at that as well. So, without any further ado, please continue watching this video. And for those of you who might be a little bit sensitive about this certain topic, you may click out of this video right now. Anyways, without any further ado, let's move on to the video. Now, 9/11 is a series of coordinated terrorist attacks that occurred in the United States on September 11, 2001. Early morning, 19 terrorists from the Islamist extremist group called Al-Qaeda hijacked 4 commercial airplanes. At 8:46 a.m. Eastern Time, 2 of the hijacked planes, American Airlines Flight 11 and United Airlines Flight 175, crashed into the north and south towers of the World Trade Center complex in New York City. At 9:03 a.m. Eastern Time, American Airlines Flight 77 crashed into the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia. In 9:37 a.m. Eastern Time, United Airlines Flight 93 crashed into a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, after passengers and crew attempted to retake control of the plane from the hijack. The attacks resulted in deaths of nearly 3,000 people, including firefighters, police officers, emergency medical technicians, and civilians. The Twin Towers collapsed within 2 hours of the impacts, and the Pentagon sustained significant damage. The attacks had a profound impact on the U.S. economy, leading to a recession and increased security measures. They also changed the way Americans viewed terrorism and national security. The attacks led to U.S.-led war on terror, with military operations in Afghanistan and Iraq. Now, obviously, I am not covering those later topics that resulted after the terrorist attacks, but however, today's video topic is about how one cartoon creator could have been one of the victims on one of those flights on that certain date. I am talking about none other than the creator of Family Guy, Seth MacFarlane. Now, when it comes to Family Guy and 9/11, the jokes just keep spewing out, and they would be shown on Fox for all to see. And of course, there are episodes that would reference 9/11 as a satirical joke nowadays, and of course, there would be a reference where the creator, Seth MacFarlane, was supposed to be in one of those flights. Here's a clip to better demonstrate what I'm talking about. On the 16th season of Family Guy, episode 10, Boy Dog Meets Girl Dog, there would be this scene where Stewie and Brian have this weird conversation.
If it's funny, I can. And so far, they've all landed. Unlike the planes on 9/11. See? No click. That one was in poor taste. Not funny.
You know, I was supposed to be on one of those planes.
Yeah, me too.
Remember when I discussed about the 2 flights from American Airlines, Flight 11 and Flight 175, that crashed into the north and south towers of the World Trade Center? Well, Seth MacFarlane was supposed to be on Flight 11. Yeah, that's right, the creator of Family Guy, the guy who created many jokes about 9/11 on his show, has almost became one of the 3,000 people who have died from this terrorist attack, this national tragedy that happened years ago. In fact, he was only 5 minutes late towards his flight at the gate of where he was supposed to take off. He would have been one of those victims. And not only that he was only a few minutes late towards his flight, it was the fact that he was also hung over from a previous night and was also given the wrong departure time by his travel agent. Because of those two factors, he arrived at the gate just a few minutes late and narrowly missing the flight that eventually crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. MacFarlane has often described this experience as a chilling and life-altering moment where Seth MacFarlane was supposed to share the experience of becoming one of those victims.
Before we bring it home, and I know I always bring up the whole 9/11 flight thing, but I'm fixated on it. I apologize, but I think about it all the time, but I realize I haven't talked to you about it in a decade. So with the last couple of minutes, I'm just curious about the timeline. I can't figure out, I can't remember if you were running late or you got misinformation from, I think, your assistant.
Yeah, it was a little of both. It was a little of both. My travel agent had written 8:15 on the itinerary, and in fact, the flight left at 7:45. Coupled with the fact that, as you well know, I at the time was a chronically late person, so I had missed other flights, just not one that was so memorable. Um, but yeah, just realized there's like a godly ray that's behind me
There's
right
a
now.
shaft of light that has descended upon you, my son.
There's a shaft of light.
Wow,
But
this is
yeah,
weird kismet. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, there is, there is the factor that I was chronically late. I was never on time for anything. I had missed so many flights, but it was, and I was hungover. I had had some drinks the night before, and I was hungover. So yeah, I got to the desk, and they said they just closed the gate. You're too late. So I went to the waiting room and fell asleep and woke up when everything started and was watching the TV, and they announced the flight number, and I turned to the guy next to me and I just said this was the flight I was supposed to be on this morning. I missed it. And then I started drinking again. So
did you was it the first flight that hit the tower, the first tower, or the second one?
I don't remember. It was Flight 11. It was American Airlines Flight 11. So I don't know if it was the first. I think it was the first flight, but I could be wrong. It might have been the second.
And
flight.
were you like arguing with the person behind the counter to let you onto the flight at the time?
I wasn't, because I was really tired, and I was kind of used to it at that point. I was like, oh, I missed a flight again. I was late again. So, I just moved me to the 11. Do you have seats on the 11? Yes, we have seats on the 11. So take that.
And it's kind of weird and off topic for me to bring this up, but I've known Seth MacFarlane from reflecting from his works on Family Guy, from showing that he also claims to be an atheist. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this and I'm bringing this up is the fact that Seth MacFarlane, if you guys don't want to take it as it is, just went through what we call a miracle. I mean, this guy, from his life decision of drinking and the fact that he has a travel agent that gave him the wrong departure time, you would have thought that this is just a miracle. The fact that Seth MacFarlane is an atheist and went through one of these miracles, the fact that he didn't get on one of those flights is just an example of irony, actually. An atheist who doesn't believe in God, doesn't believe in miracles, would be the type of guy who would just be part of one. In fact, he would live long enough to create Family Guy, Cleveland Show, and American Dad. Without Seth MacFarlane, we wouldn't have all these great and amazing characters from Seth MacFarlane's creation. We wouldn't have Roger Smith, we wouldn't have Stan Smith, we wouldn't have Steve Smith, we wouldn't have any of these creations if it wasn't for Seth MacFarlane going through that weird situation that got him away from that flight rather than on that flight. So yeah, this was crazy to me when I first heard about this. But yeah, that's about it. I do not hate on Seth MacFarlane. I'm not calling him a whatever you want to call it, but I'm just saying how it is. Seth MacFarlane is an atheist that went through a miracle, and I'm going to call it a miracle because it looks like whoever is watching over him wanted him to create Family Guy to entertain us, and we should be grateful for that. That Seth MacFarlane was saved by some weird superstition. Anyways, I'm Blazestone, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. And let us remember those who unfortunately lost their lives to an unfortunate tragedy. And for next time, I hope to see you guys in the next video. See ya.